The film opens at a quiet, deserted seaside hotel during the off-season, where 35-year-old single mother Paloma and her 14-year-old son Hector arrive for an affordable vacation. The hotel is nearly empty, surrounded by an atmosphere of absolute stillness that allows mother and son to settle in with total ease. Paloma and Hector share an exceptionally close, affectionate, and deeply interdependent relationship where the lines between mother and child often blur, spending almost all of their waking hours side by side. While lounging by the vacant swimming pool, Paloma tenderly applies sunscreen across Hector's back, and Hector casually reciprocates the gesture for his mother before they lie under the warm sun chatting about their swimsuits. Soon, Paloma suggests going into the pool, where they spend time swimming, sharing jokes, and competing in playful games to see who can hold their breath underwater the longest. These quiet, early moments highlight just how deeply connected they are, with Hector living comfortably and securely within the safe, enclosed boundaries of his mother's protected world. As their stay progresses, Hector begins to experience the subtle physical shifts of entering adolescence. Becoming increasingly aware of changes in his body, he notices that he smells of sweat after spending time outside and slips away to the bathroom to wash himself, experiencing a new sense of self-consciousness. Paloma continues to treat him as she did when he was younger, routinely reminding him about personal hygiene and hovering over his daily habits as if he were still a little boy. After returning to their room, Hector secretly checks a private item he has tucked away in his suitcase, guarding a growing desire for personal boundaries that he keeps hidden from his mother. Shortly after, he steps out of the hotel to buy some snacks at a nearby shop. Standing on the room's balcony upon his return, Hector spots a new family arriving at the hotel, consisting of a couple and their teenage daughter. Because the resort had been completely quiet and empty until now, their unexpected arrival immediately catches his attention and sparks a subtle, unspoken curiosity within him. Hector returns inside to his mother, lying down beside her on the bed as they share headphones and listen to music together. When a song by Prince plays, their casual conversation naturally turns to the musician's charm and physical attractiveness. Curious about his own emerging identity and wondering how others might perceive him, Hector turns to Paloma and asks whether she considers him to be attractive as well. Paloma smiles affectionately at her son, reassuring him with maternal warmth that his appeal is different from a pop star's and assuring him that he is handsome in his own unique way. Later, they examine the room service menu together to order food by the pool. Hector eagerly asks for a club sandwich while Paloma orders a lighter, simpler meal, and true to their usual habit, they playfully share and sample each other's food. While sitting together in the sun, Paloma notices pimples on Hector's face and begins squeezing them. Hector squirms and jokes that it is disgusting, but Paloma laughs and affectionately tells him that because he is her son, nothing about him could ever disgust her. As evening approaches, swarming mosquitoes force them to head back inside, where they play around on the bed before Paloma steps into the bathroom. That night, Hector decides to step outside for a late-night stroll. Paloma reminds him not to stay out too late as he makes his way down to the dimly lit pool area. There, he encounters Jasmine, the teenage daughter of the newly arrived family, who is preparing to take an evening swim. When Jasmine notices Hector watching her, a quiet, awkward tension fills the air, and she hesitantly turns around and retreats back toward her room. Later, after taking a shower, Hector lies on his bed listening to music while Paloma reads on hers. Their conversation turns to his changing physical appearance, with Paloma playfully pointing out that he is starting to grow a faint mustache. Embarrassed by her observation, Hector asks her to stop teasing him. They end the night as they always do, saying goodnight and exchanging tender declarations of love. However, Hector soon discovers that one of the metal springs in his bed is sticking out, making it completely uncomfortable and unusable. Their attempts to swap beds fail, and calls to the front desk go unanswered during the off-season night. With no other option, mother and son are forced to share the same bed for the night, physically emphasizing their intense closeness. The next morning, Paloma gently wakes Hector and reminds him to take care of himself and apply sunscreen before going outside into the sun. Left alone in the room, Hector feels an increasing internal tension between his childhood dependence and the new curiosities of growing up. Later by the pool, Jasmine notices Hector's severe sunburn and invites him to her room's shaded patio so she can help him apply soothing lotion to his back. This gives the two teenagers their first opportunity to talk calmly away from their parents. Hector shares details about growing up without a father and his family's modest financial situation, while Jasmine opens up about her own family dynamics and their connection to the hotel, establishing a quiet bond of vulnerability between them. When Hector returns to his room, Paloma notices his inflamed sunburn and orders food for him. During the meal, Hector begins asking direct questions about his absent father, their past relationship, and the exact circumstances of how he was born. Caught off guard, Paloma offers vague, defensive answers, but Hector continues to press her, driven by a growing determination to understand his roots and establish his own identity. That night, Hector gazes out the window and sees Jasmine swimming in the pool alone, confirming that his romantic interest in her is growing stronger. Later in the night, Paloma suffers from a distressing nightmare, and Hector gently wakes and comforts her, showing how their roles as caregiver and dependent sometimes shift. The following morning, Hector asks Paloma if he can go down to the beach by himself, but Paloma insists on staying together to monitor his sunburn. Later, while watching television in their room, Paloma falls asleep, giving Hector the perfect opportunity to secretly visit Jasmine in her room. They chat about the sweltering heat, the noisy air conditioner, Jasmine's sensitivity to cold air, and their favorite childhood memories. Hector returns to his room just before Paloma wakes up. She instructs him to take a shower and says she loves him before returning to sleep. Hector later walks down to the pool alone at night before going to bed. The next morning by the pool, Paloma goes through her usual routine of reminding Hector about small daily details. Pretending he needs to use the bathroom, Hector sneaks over to Jasmine's room and asks if he can come in. Jasmine explains that her father and stepmother Consuelo are inside and suggests they meet in his room in a few minutes. Hector rushes back, closes the curtains, turns on the fan and air conditioner, and waits. Jasmine arrives, and as they talk about the heat and the smell of the room, Paloma unexpectedly walks in. Meeting Jasmine for the first time, Paloma acts warm and welcoming, asking Jasmine to call her Paloma instead of Mrs. After a brief conversation. Jasmine politely excuses herself and leaves. That evening, as Paloma and Hector head out to dinner, Paloma teases him about his obvious interest in Jasmine. Though Hector tries to hide his feelings, both families end up sitting together at the same restaurant table for dinner. They discuss their backgrounds, learn that Jasmine is 16 years old, and discover shared musical interests. Paloma proudly mentions that Hector takes drama classes, making him feel self-conscious and embarrassed. The following day, Hector and Jasmine hang out together by the pool. After Jasmine leaves, Paloma pulls Hector aside to talk about growing up, taking on personal responsibility, and taking care of himself, yet she continues to treat him like a young boy. Hector feels an increasing urge to break away from her protective hold. The next day, Paloma suggests a trip to the beach, and the three of them drive there together in Paloma's car. While Paloma swims in the ocean and relaxes on the shore, Hector and Jasmine spend time exploring the beach together, and Hector's romantic feelings deepen. On the drive back, while Paloma is fast asleep in the front seat, Hector and Jasmine share a quiet moment in the back and exchange a tender kiss, Hector's first private milestone belonging entirely to himself. That evening at dinner, Jasmine announces that her family must leave the next day because her father's surgery was moved up. Paloma suggests playing a farewell card game filled with jokes, singing, and laughter. During the game, Paloma loses a round and receives a penalty to fetch chips from the lobby. On her way back, exhausted and emotional, Paloma sits on the stairs and falls asleep, leaving Hector and Jasmine alone for their final hours together. The next morning, Paloma wakes up, returns to the room, and tenderly kisses her sleeping son. When Hector awakens, he stands in front of the bathroom mirror, picks up a razor, and carefully shaves off his mustache, a simple, symbolic act marking his transition out of childhood. He kisses his sleeping mother goodbye, picks up his headphones, and walks out of the room alone into the morning light. As he walks away from the hotel, the song heard earlier plays again, its lyrics speaking of courage, strength, and devotion.